Welcome to A State of Mind. This is Julian Royce. I'm a therapist, guide, and fellow traveler on this ever-unfolding path of healing and awakening, and I'm recording this here in my office in downtown Boulder, Colorado, where this inner path unfurls through somatic wisdom, internal family systems, and psychedelic ceremony, grounded in the science of meditation. This is a space for deep conversations, appreciating subtle truths, and the sacred mystery of life. You can learn more at astateofmindcounseling.org, and you can follow the thread of my music at the SoundCloud link below. And if you're seeking a powerful ally for energy, for clarity, for deep inner resilience, I invite you to work with the medicine of Shilajit. Known as the destroyer of weakness in ancient Ayurvedic texts, Shilajit is a mineral-rich resin formed over centuries in the high mountains, and the Shilajit that I am providing comes from the sacred Ural Mountains of Russia, pure, potent, and free from contaminants and additives. It's an adaptogenic powerhouse, supporting vitality, focus, and cellular regeneration, and I've personally found it to be a beautiful companion for integration, meditation, spiritual practice, and overall vitality. A single jar is $85 and will last you a couple months at least. If you feel called, send me a message through Instagram or at astateofmindpodcast.com, and I'll give you 20% off your first order as a thank you for tuning in and walking the path. And I would love to invite all of my listeners to join me in my integration group. I'm launching a new group called Freedom, Abundance, and Integration. This will be a twice-monthly online group for people on the path of transformation. Whether you're integrating altered states or navigating the intensity of everyday life, this group offers you powerful tools and a supportive community to help you come home to yourself. Integration, as Dr. Dan Siegel, one of my teachers, puts it, is the linkage of differentiated parts into a functional whole. In other words, it's how we grow a coherent, resilient mind. Through the lens of internal family systems, we learn to listen to our inner parts with compassion, and then bringing in Buddhist teachings to help us see the deep nature of mind itself, open, luminous, and free. We're going to be meeting every other Tuesday, first and third Tuesday of the month from 7 to 8:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll be blending neuroscience, depth psychology, and contemplative wisdom in an experiential space designed to support your healing and maturation. If you're ready to align your insights with your daily life and walk this path alongside others who are doing the same, this group is for you. Send me a message, again, stateofmindcounseling.org or astateofmindpodcast.com. Thank you so much. I hope to see you there. Today's episode, I am happy to be speaking with Sudakra. Sudakra is a musician, a yogi, an artist, and a healer, and I'm proud to count him as a friend. I've created some events here around Colorado featuring him. He really does bring a spiritual element to his music and to his performances, and he brings people together in a beautiful way. And it was such a treat to get to drop in and spend this time with him here. He stopped by on his current musical tour, so check out the links below to learn more about him, his offerings, his upcoming tour dates. And while we were recording here, a building actually caught on fire in downtown Boulder right across the street. So we got interrupted by some sirens. Luckily no one was hurt in the fire, and hopefully that doesn't come through in the audio too much, but that did happen in the middle of recording with him. Without further ado, I bring you Sudakra. Any words you want to offer?
I feel like when moving into these creative spaces, just calling on the divine super soul, calling that energy in to the space, into our hearts, and giving thanks to my teachers that have come before me, mainly my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada, Panchatattva, Nitai Gauranga, and Radha Krishna, and just calling that divine pillar into the space. I feel like,
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Calling all our divine teachers in, praying that this podcast benefits everyone who hears it, who sees it, for me highest intention, alignment that we can, and giving it up to God. That's what I've been doing. Like making a really good intention, and then I'm like, okay, I'm letting go of the result.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let the current flow, right?
I'm gonna clap to sync it up. Yeah, let the current flow. I might even use a little bit of this in the intro, something show us meditating.
Sure, yeah.
Nice.
Welcome. Yeah. Any and all parts. Yeah.
I have a desire to do a little hape with you.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I have mine here. Welcome to take. I got it from a shaman in Austin. I was invited to this song sharing circle, and through a friend and who I met at an event called Regen World.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. So it was like a 5-day conference, 6-day conference on sustainability and regenerative practices and whatnot. Do you have an applicator yourself?
Not with me. I have one at my house.
Okay. I very rarely share mine, but
Hello.
I'm open to sharing it.
Oh.
And yeah, I'll just cleanse it afterwards.
You don't? Okay, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any diseases that I know of.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about that. It's more so like the energy.
The energy.
Yeah, it's the energy, but there's nothing a little intention and sage can't clear away, you know? Not that you have bad energy, but it's just...
Any guidance you want to offer me in terms of doing it?
Yeah, so I feel like, the plant medicine it's programmable, So it's carrying a frequency of sound vibrations from, these tribes in South America. I don't know what tribe specifically this came from. He just filled up the bottle and gave it to me, but I find that it's and have been taught from my teachers that it's a programmable. All plants are programmable, right? So it's like when we call in the divine with intention into it, it can serve us in whatever way we're calling that in, And then it has also each rape or hape has its own medicinal qualities. I had a friend actually show me a whole paper on the different hapes and how they benefit different things. I don't have that with me, but
Sure.
Yeah. So I'd say just really calling in that energy, that intention, that vision, what you want it to support you in, and also, further amplifying the prayers that were put into it by honoring and giving thanks to those tribes that are chanting and creating this medicine, which we're so blessed to have. I feel we're so blessed to have in this age where it can just be sent over in a plane.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We live in a special, special time.
It's a beautiful way in which all these different cultures are coming together. And I think there's a beauty in that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Mm. Yeah, it's like the Rainbow Bridge, forming between the nations.
I love it.
Which, it really feels like the spectrum of that rainbow too is emanating from the same source, and each color of that spectrum of that rainbow contains with it its own unique song. And when we come together and we sing in harmony, it's like viewing the whole spectrum of the rainbow.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's nice medicine.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Came from a really good source too, and his energy was so pure. It was the first time meeting him. His name was Carlos, and I just felt, I was like, this guy's definitely works in the other realms. And yeah, and I asked him because he had all these bottles of rape, and I was like, hey, I noticed you have quite a lot of rape. It's is there any way you could I could buy some from you or trade?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, let me just gift you some. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, you're a real one. He's like, oh, medicine, you need medicine?
It's nice.
Problem. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always nice when someone gives something to you. I always ask people this before we started recording, but we're already going. I know you have Sudakra, that's your artist name.
Yeah.
Is that how you like to be referred to?
Yeah. So my birth name is Vyasadev Das. Yeah. And my last name is Pugh. Yeah.
That's your birth name?
My birth name.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually know that. I saw that was your name. I didn't know that was your birth name.
Yeah, it's a special gift from my parents and the lineage I'm connected to, and yeah. So, but Sudakra is like, I don't mind being called Sudakra. Yeah.
Do you wanna? And where does the name Sudakra come from?
Yeah.
Does it have a meaning?
It does have a meaning. Yeah. So originally, when I was about 15, I had created this concept of being a DJ and producer, specifically to broadcast the sacred sound vibrations passed down through my lineage. And the Sudarshan Chakra was the original name. So the Sudarshan Chakra is this spinning disc weapon that Lord Vishnu has on his finger, basically. And it's a cosmic, transcendental, I should say transcendental because cosmic is still bound to our universe, but it's a transcendental weapon used to kill demons and ward off negative energies. So I rolled with that name for a while, but it's a bit of a mouthful. It's like Sudarshan Chakra. It's a lot, so I decided to shorten it to Sudakra, which has its own
Sudarshan Chakra. Sudakra.
Yeah, Sudarshan Chakra to Sudakra, and then Sudakra is its own unique. Like there's not it's like its own unique thing, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And when I asked ChatGPT, I was like, "What does Sudakra mean?" And it was like, it broke it down into like the root words, and basically it means like auspicious service, like divine service. So it's multifaceted in that way. Yeah, it's cool.
Divine service. I love that.
Yeah,
I love the in Indian and spirituality, like that symbolism of the deity or God with the weapons and the interpret. It's all about the internal. At least in my understanding, like a lot of the traditional teachings, it's about the internal journey, and I think we need more of that perspective in our world today. Like that, like there's a way in which war, killing can be a good thing. Like in the Buddhist thing, it's always about like killing ignorance, killing aversion, killing like that strong clinging, killing ignorance basically. And when we externalize, then we cause a lot of negative karma, we cause a lot of pain, we cause a lot of suffering. And I think as our world, our world is like the good and the potential for good is increasing tremendously, and then also the negative and the potential for disaster and catastrophe and large scale war and all the pandemics and all the stuff. It's like that's the potential for that is increasing tremendously too. So we're in this hell of a dance.
Yeah, it feels like, from what I've collected, like in my journeys and travels and from teachers and ascended masters and such, it's like the vibrational frequency of our realm is vastly increasing. So you have like extremes on both sides.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really, really feeling that in this present age. And I feel like there's a special gift where when we stay in that original sound vibration, those mantras, and we are carrying that frequency within us, again, like internalizing and externalizing the frequencies as well. We're almost like being held up by like the wings of like our previous teachers, so to speak, almost like a shelter. We're like under the shelter when we are honoring that.
Yeah. Let's see, there's that siren going by. We just had a fire happening just outside here in downtown Boulder. There's all these fire trucks out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that sound doesn't come through too much, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's another piece that our culture has kind of lost touch with. I mean, we do have it though, but honoring our ancestors, honoring our teachers, that's such a big part of a lot of Eastern wisdom traditions. And I think it's been a big part of our Western so to speak, like European and American traditions too. And I think in the contemporary age, there's this sense of like we have to do everything ourselves, we have to learn everything ourselves, and I want to find a way forward that is like deeply honoring lineage and teachers and traditions and creating something new, because we're in a new place. We have new technologies, we have new melding of cultures. It's like something that has struck me and stayed with me throughout my, I don't know, since I was like 20. I was reading Ken Wilber for the first time. He's this philosopher. He actually lives in Denver. He's really old now. I got to meet him last summer. But he created this whole framework called integral philosophy to bring together all these different sciences and traditions and cultures and try to help them make sense and work together and integrate with each other. And he said, and I don't think this is original to him, but it's like the first time in history where we really have this worldwide perspective, where we're really aware of maybe not every single culture on the planet, but we're aware of the multiplicity of humans and cultures and languages and spiritual traditions in a way in which our ancestors really weren't. Like if we went to a village in England in the 1500s, they would know about Catholicism, and maybe they would have stories about witches, but most people would live their whole life only meeting and really knowing the people in their village. And same thing if you went back to like Tibet 100 years ago. It's like they might have stories and they knew about other lands, but they didn't really experience them or know them directly. And now obviously we do. And so the idea that only one way is the only right way, I think that is what we need to really transcend and heal. That's where so much negativity comes from. That's where so much fighting and conflict comes from. And so we have to find a way to be able to honor all these different things. And it's a difficult dance. But I think any way we look at it, we are in new times. We're creating a new culture. And even if you wanted to go back in the past, you really can't. You could choose an alternative lifestyle. But the rest of the world is moving on.
Exactly. The spectrum of awareness has increased, and I think we are moving more towards loving awareness, at least in some select communities, that is amplifying that frequency. And I feel that especially in like ecstatic dance, and also like how there's this weaving of the South American shamanism, there's the yoga, and then there's the ecstatic dance, and there's this mesh of cultures and this like container that's like manifesting almost like nodes across the globe, becoming activated. That's what it feels like to me. And they're also being essentially impregnated with the seed of consciousness and the seed of sound coming from these cultures too, which is going to begin to increase the internal awareness, I feel, very, very prominently. And that's actually a big part of like the Sudakra project, is bringing that awareness forward through the music and carrying these lineages, connecting to these lineages, learning from the elders and bringing that into the music, connecting with collaborators, and sharing with other producers, beginning producers and more advanced producers that might not be in tune with the prayer, that actually calling in that energy of the Lord's presence into what you're creating, because God likes to be invited. When you invite God in, then he's present, he's there. And I feel strongly that like this message of deep intention can be shared, and we're in a place in time where it's safe to do that. We're not going to be chased to the ends of the earth, or staked to a cross, or burned at a stake, for having a crystal on our altar, so to speak.
I love that. Yeah, I remember actually we created an event together last November, and you played DJ set and people were dancing, there's music, and then at some point you said some real prayers and you invited everyone to come in, and it's beautiful, it's powerful. That
prayer at the end, that coming into harmony, is really like essentially what it's all about for me, at least. Like the music is cool, and there's a lot of intention in that. There's a lot of prayer and ceremony in the dance and the moving of energy, but essentially like the calling together and the coming into harmony is really where I feel we're making the most advancement in our progression as humanity. And that's why I'm like so deeply passionate about bringing these messages forward, and also honored to be on this podcast with you too, and having these amazing conversations. And yeah, and knowing too that it doesn't matter if anyone hears it outside. It's the fact that we're having the conversation and the vibration is here. We're bringing that vibration and it's emanating out into the field.
I love that. Yeah, sometimes when I record a podcast or video, I'll imagine people there listening and appreciating it. And I really believe, and actually, from my point of view, I know this directly, like experientially, like when you go to a concert, or when you go to a show, or even when you see a piece of art, like you are creating that too. It's a collaboration. So one of the things I loved about going to Burning Man for the first time was like seeing this amazing artist, like DJ and play music, everyone dancing, and then their set coming to an end, and then they just like jumped into the crowd, and they were like just there, like we're here right now. And someone else got up there, and it was like that breakdown of that separation between the artist and the listener or the dancer. And I'm really passionate about creating spaces like what we did together, where it's like, yeah, we can come together, we can dance, yeah, it's a party, yeah, it's fun, yeah, you're connecting, yeah, you're making new connections, it's social, and then you have these moments of transcendence, of calling in spirit, calling in God, of coming back to your heart. And let's have that together. Let's bring those together. Like, that's what I think we need. I think we've had too much separation.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember listening to this Tibetan Lama teach, like, this was like years ago. He was saying that in Tibet, where he actually grew up as a nomad in Tibet, where they had big herds of like sheep and stuff, and they would, on these like epic plains, like just endless mountain plains, like very high elevation. Like, so they would set up a camp and be there for a while, and they would break everything down and then travel to a new spot with all their animals. And in their tent was like it was like a circle, and so they would set up a little shrine in the tent, and they would have like a painting, and they had like maybe a Buddha statue. But there was also then like next to it was like a little kitchen area. Next to it was like where they slept, you know, and then maybe like a social hangout area. It was all in a circle. And then they would take it all down and set it back up again. And so there wasn't as much separation in that culture between I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to talk, or I'm going to cook. It was all of a piece, you know, it was all the same cloth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that so much. What was his name? Do you remember?
That was Dr. Nida Chinangsang. He's a Tibetan medical teacher.
Okay, cool, nice. Yeah. Wow. Nice.
I guess it was a yurt. They were there in yurts.
Nice,
like the original yurt.
Yurt life. Nice. Yeah, actually, my family, my mother and stepdad at the time, we were living off-grid. We lived off-grid for a while, actually, on a ganja farm in Northern California. And we had, you know, ganja plants and, like, the greenhouse and different things. But we did basically, as a family, we went and, like, took down trees and skinned them and built a teepee, actually.
Oh, amazing.
And lived in the teepee, for many months. That was very interesting. 15, 16 at that time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about this. Like, with given the name that you're given, your parents must have been into yoga or like Indian spirituality. Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, so my father learned about the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness from when he was 18 years old. He met a devotee boy who was 13 years old. His name was Drakadisha Das. And he taught my father basically the principles of the eternality of the soul, what it means to be in an eternal loving relationship with the Lord, what unconditional love is, and essentially like what bhakti yoga actually is. So my dad took to the practice, and originally he was coming from Catholic Christian background, so he's taking Christianity and kind of creating this blend of Krishna consciousness and Christianity. And he later received Harinam initiation, which is Harinam is like Hari is the name of the divine masculine and feminine counterparts combined, Hari, and Nam in Sanskrit means name, the name of. So Harinam initiation is essentially receiving the mantra, but not from just a radio station or like on TV, but actually receiving the codes, receiving the downloads like a seed planted in his heart. right? Which when we are in practice and we water this with devotion, it grows and it grows into prema. So my father is a devotee of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who came here in the 1960s to deliver the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So he actually translated Bhagavad Gita as it is, as per orders of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur.
These names are incredible.
Yeah. I might be referencing a earlier teacher. I think I am actually. So you have to pardon me on that. So my dad became initiated under Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, who was a direct disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has established many temples in the West, including one in Denver here. Actually, they have programs on Sunday and Wednesday, and they feed people for free. Kirtan, it's ecstatic. It's very beautiful. My mother, when she was early 14, 15, maybe 16, she used to live near the temple here in Denver, and she visited the temple, and she had a very profound spiritual experience there, and she received downloads, and later met my father, and they went on Grateful Dead tour together and were madly in love and practicing Krishna consciousness and all of this, and then they decided to have a baby, and that was me. I'm the baby. Nice. Which I am honored to be a love child, because some children are accidental, love children too, but my parents have made it very clear that I was not an accident, which I feel like kind of stoked on that,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I grew up, practicing bhakti yoga and practicing some asana, yoga too. My mom taught me, little yoga postures when I was a little kid growing up. But the most prominent practice in our lives was creating offerings, food, specifically vegetarian food, and offering it to the altar, to the deities, and to our spiritual predecessor, or our spiritual teachers, basically. And yeah, so we would do like kirtan. Basically, there's mantras we would chant to call in our teachers, because we're also taught in this lineage that the sound vibrations of our teachers, the sound vibrations of Krishna, these are non-different than the avatars that they come in.
Yeah,
essentially.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful point. The sound vibration is the same. It's not different than that avatar, that consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we want to bring Krishna consciousness, we want to bring Krishna into an environment, we can chant his names. They're non-different. Yeah. Especially if we're receiving those names from a spiritual master that's connected to that lineage. So this lineage specifically is called the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is a lineage coming from Vishnu. And so Vishnu is giving, from Vishnu's navel, Lord Brahma manifests on this lotus flower. And Lord Brahma receives the initiation, the Gayatri mantra, into his ear through this amazing, transcendental formula, essentially. And Saraswati is involved in this broadcasting of this message. And Lord Brahma essentially initiates Narad Muni, who is this interstellar traveler. So backing up a little bit, essentially there's three main avatars that govern the material universes: Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. And so Vishnu is maintenance energy and protection. Brahma is creation energy, and Shiva is more of the destruction spectrum of energy. So with that being said, Brahma is the creator of the universes, the material universes, but Lord Vishnu, in his not he's not awake nor asleep. He's in this half meditative state, maintaining all of this structure in our universe and universes, as taught through the Vedic knowledge. So anyhow, Lord Brahma receives the mantra from Vishnu, and then Lord Brahma gives it to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni is this very special being who plays an instrument called a veena, and he can tune this instrument, and he can sing a mantra, and he can travel anywhere throughout the cosmos via sound vibration. Yeah, so he manifests onto Earth, he comes to Earth, and he initiates Srila Vyasadeva and gives Srila Vyasadeva the Vedic knowledge, which is who I'm named after. Vyasadeva Das. Das in Sanskrit means to be devoted to or in service of. So my name is to be in service of Srila Vyasadeva. So Narad Muni initiates Srila Vyasadeva, and Srila Vyasadeva takes this mantra and he turns it into the literary form, so that humans can read it and understand it, essentially. And then this knowledge is passed to Sukadeva Goswami, who is his son, and many more teachers along the way. It actually goes to Krishna, this manifestation of Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, and this is like the Lord's like incarnation, direct reflection from the transcendental realm, and then from Krishna to Arjuna, and this is where the Bhagavad Gita comes into place. So the Bhagavad Gita is this one song of God. Bhagavad Gita means song of God, basically.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like being able to travel through sound, that sound that's connected with like the fabric of the universe. And I love the idea that like you were saying, like when you say the sound, you are, that is that divine energy. And I think that's the more like esoteric understanding. Like the more exoteric understanding is like God is somehow separate or up in the sky. Or, but in this Indian spirituality, and I think it's in a lot of other traditions too, but it's like these forms they're taking all these different forms. Like it's all the play of God. Like we're all like waves on the ocean of God. Like that kind of idea. And like if you had an image of a deity or Vishnu or Buddha, it's like in a sense that could be that if you see it that way.
Yeah. Actually, Krishna says specifically in the Bhagavad Gita, there are more forms of me than there are waves in the ocean.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay, there you go.
So it's very, you're touching basically the Vedic knowledge. Like, it's there.
Yeah, like constantly playing with this thing of like praying to something, but then like realizing that it's inside you too, or that it is you in some an important sense, or is your true nature at least.
Yeah, it's described in the Vedas that, and through our lineage, that we have the false ego, which is how we identify in this reality, like our body. Like this is my clown suit, my
clown suit,
my vest and my jewelry and headband and hair and all this. It's like I identify as like Sudakra, but this is not who I am. This is like a false identity. Whereas I am actually part and parcel of the supreme personality. So even in the advanced yogi who starts to activate like his light body, right, and starts to see like, oh wow, like I am this like light being, even in that sense, the more advanced approach is to understand like, wow, that spiritual being that I'm recognizing, zooming out of that, you realize that this is Paramatma. This is Paramatma is essentially the form of Vishnu that resides in each and every one of us. And when we can release attachment to the false ego, we can make more room for Paramatma and Paramatma's energy to flow through us and create in this realm.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think in my own journey with spirituality and meditation and like really deconstructing my identity. Yeah, I'm not my clothes, I'm not my body. All these different identities we could claim or accomplishments, they're not like your ultimate true self, and they could be this false ego, that we hear so much about that causes us trouble, and then getting to a point where it's like, okay, it's all empty, or at least in the Buddhist tradition, it's all empty. And then there can be a place to play. And like you said, like clown suit, like you could, without giving it too much importance, you could choose to dress up a certain way, or you could create an identity and have fun with it. And like that could be, maybe that's an even more profound practice, because then you're in the world and playing and dancing and doing things, but you're not bound. You don't feel a need to reject everything. And you also can hold it kind of lightly, because it can be fun. It can be playful. It's a creation. It's like the creative aspect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's also told in many stories throughout the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam that the Lord is within everything, every single atom, molecule. You know, on scientific terms, it's like we say atom and molecule. Like he's within everything. So, you know, it really is like a game of appreciation for everything being part of the Lord's energy. And I feel like when we attune to that, it's actually a very, very humbling experience. And humility is a big part of the practice, coming from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, who are avatars of the Lord manifested as well. And Lord Chaitanya, one verse, I don't recall the Sanskrit portion of it, but the English translation is, one should remain lower than the straw on the street, or one should remain like a blade of grass, more humble than a blade of grass, and more tolerant than a tree. You know, like a tree, it continues to bear fruit, and we pull it, and it still continues to bear fruit. It continues to provide shelter and shade, and even though we go to hack at this tree, it's still providing shade. It's still going to provide shade until it falls over. And these are like these deep principles of, you know, being humble, you know, and it's
beautiful.
It's a delicate too, because there's also being humble to the divine current flowing through and accepting, you know, your channel, you know, because I feel like, at least on the artist journey, sometimes humility can get in the way, or even attachment to identity. The artist's identity can prevent that current from flowing. So there's a certain level of humility that we can acquire, which allows for that current to just pour through, you know. And when we get rid of the attachments, right? Or it's not about like stuff and things. It's about how much we're relating to them as fact, like real fact, you know. And it reminds me of like these layers, right? And the current wants to flow through, but when our attachments are in the way, it's hitting all these layers along the way and not allowing the current to flow through. So when we let go, then we flow, you know.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's well said.
Yeah, thank you.
There's this teaching in the Buddhist tradition of divine pride. So I resonate with what you said about you can be too humble. Like you can be too much. It can actually be a kind of way of avoiding your own power, or your own gifts, or your own creation that wants to come through you. And I think so many of us today are being called to tap into that creative energy, to manifest, to be an artist, in a way that probably a lot of our ancestors maybe weren't able to do, right? Like we have so many tools and technology and, knowledge out there now, so we can all be an artist if we want to be. Maybe in the sense we all are artists, whether we recognize it or not. I mean, we're all creating this together.
I agree, and I believe that, you know, being part and parcel of the Supreme Creator, we are directly channels for that creative energy to manifest. And I feel there's this importance in, you know, coming back to calling it in, you know, calling in those intentions, calling in God's energy in our creative practice. When we show up to create, first it's like the ceremony, and it's like bringing that energy into the space, because otherwise we may be creating from a place of ego. We might be creating from a place of ego, and are we actually bringing the divine code into this reality? I think of it like the divine ruler. on the mirror of the heart, right? So it's like the heart is like a mirror reflecting back at us, and like the mantras are used to clean that mirror, right? And there's some direction that we get from our spiritual masters, and this is like the divine ruler, you know, a ruler of measurement to help us align, you know. So it's like guiding the pencil, you know. So it's like when we call in and we call upon our teachers to guide that pencil, we bring that beautiful God creative energy into this realm. And if we don't call in that energy, what are we actually creating? Are we creating from the material realm? Are we creating from the false identity, what we think that we need to create? You know, these are questions I often ponder, you know. And
yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
I wonder if for a lot of us, the creation could be coming from the desire for attention, because I see us more and more in this attention. People talk about the attention economy. You know, like social media is playing that part of us that really wants attention, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can easily become you've lost your authenticity and you're chasing after what you think is going to bring attention. So there's a bit of a
that's so real. Yeah, it's so real. And I actually have faced this in my artist journey personally, where I didn't feel heard as a child. I didn't feel heard, and I felt suppressed. So I created this project, like obviously with good intentions to want to broadcast mantra and share these teachings, but there was a lot of false ego attached to it because I wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
I wanted to be heard, you know, and it's taken like, I'm still going through the process of like burning away like the hero complex of wanting to share to be recognized versus wanting to share to allow that current to flow and just continue flowing.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be subtle. I appreciate you naming that.
Yeah.
It just seems like clear that you've done a lot of deep work to come from that pure place and like open that channel as much as you can, let that through.
It's like my teachers would say, like the clouds of Maya are like, this is not word for word, mind you, my memory is not that great, but from collective knowledge that I've accumulated, it's like Maya or illusion, the illusory energies are always like these clouds rolling in, right? It's like two clouds rolling into the mind, and it's through the consistent practice and the consistent calling in the divine energy into your life that those clouds can part and we can be an allowance of that flow, you know, because it's like as soon as I personally, like as soon as I step out of like my practice and stuff, it's like, you know, stress comes in and it's like, okay, when's the next show? I gotta get paid. I gotta like do my bills. I gotta like, relationship stuff comes in and it's like, oh shit, like, you know, these very earthbound energies, you know, we have to deal with, which are essentially temporary, you know. The real reality, at least, you know, what I'm learning is the real spiritual reality is your eternal service to the divine, your eternal fixed position and being in that. And I feel like that level of like deep recognition and deep faith really opens the doors for eternal knowledge and bliss. You know, eternality, knowledge, and bliss is Satchitananda, essentially.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and these are like
being, consciousness, bliss.
Yeah. Which is not different than Krishna, because Krishna is also this eternality, knowledge, and bliss.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously like our job and the bills and all the stuff of the world, it's like we have to, it's good to like honor that and show up there. And what I'm wanting for myself in my own path, it's like, can I tap into a deeper level of trust? It's like, has there ever been a day where I didn't have some food to eat? Like, I mean, this is super privileged. And I would bet most people listening to this have the similar experience. Like, we have food, we have, like, we trust, like, things are going to work out, come from that. And that makes a big difference when I can tune into that bigger trust. keep coming back to that.
Yeah, that's real.
Oh, I feel you. Sometimes like all the little things of life are like weighing you down. Or like there's like a million emails and there's a million things to do, and there's. I'm really trying to shift that in myself because it's been happening to me, and I'm like noticing that it can be this for me like scrambling, feeling impatient or behind or trying to do a lot, and it doesn't feel good. And if I can tune into that bigger trust and then come from that place and like let things unfold, let there be more flow, maybe do less, you know. Maybe not respond to the emails for the day. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. It's that profound presence, right?
Yes.
Like profound presence.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been using the word presence more too. I'm glad you said that. Instead of the word meditation, I think the word presence can feel more evocative and more accurate at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just presence in what's here.
Yeah, because even in this moment, it's like the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. The past is just a memory, and the future is just an expectation. So when we look at the now, in this very moment, you know, I mean, yes, we're privileged. We're not in a battlefield right now getting bombed, you know, or starving in a jungle somewhere.
Yeah.
But what it is being able to come back into that presence no matter what things are happening, like the fire across the street that could burn that building down, you know. We're here, present, you know. And I feel like that presence is a gift that we can always come back to, that the breath and the presence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a gift. When we come back to presence, it's a gift, and it helps other people, it helps ourselves, and it can include everything. It can include the fire, it can include doing something if there's something to be done. And then it can include not doing something if there's nothing to be done.
Yeah. And this karma yoga is important too, because we're here on this earth. So we have a responsibility. We have like a dharmic responsibility to karma yoga, you know. And this is really the deeper levels of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita too, is, you know, Arjuna is like, he's quivering at the idea of going to war with his family on the other side, you know. And Krishna is revealing to him that, you know, you have a dharmic responsibility, you have a karma yoga responsibility here, and the soul is eternal. So even if you have to go to battle, there's a reason why, and it's because they're practicing demonic practices. So like, you're in righteousness, you're in sattva, so it is your dharmic responsibility to do this thing, knowing that you are eternal, knowing who you actually are as a soul, you know. So we can show up and do our karma yoga, and like, if we know what it is, I feel like when we know what it is, and we know that it's part of the yoga process, there's bhakti yoga, asana yoga, you know, and then there's karma yoga and many other forms of yoga as well. You know?
Yeah, one day I want to do a deeper dive into the Bhagavad Gita. It's an amazing thing to have the battle, the war, God telling you to go to war. You could interpret it all as, you know, an internal process, kind of like what I was speaking to earlier. And there's also the 3D reality that humans fight each other and wars happen, and it seems like some wars really are necessary, right? Like I guess World War II is the big example of that. But it's kind of like, I guess part of my take with it is this mystery, this paradoxical understanding, like, you know, just the mystery of the world that we're in, the cosmos of God, the divine, that we can't, you know, I'm not an expert at the Bhagavad Gita, but like, maybe Arjuna can't really comprehend that, can't really grasp it. It's like he has to surrender, he has to have that trust quality.
Yeah, there's a certain level of deep faith, you know, and I think that when Krishna reveals to Arjuna this universal form, and Arjuna's kind of like, whoa, like, this is like intense, like I'm seeing everything, you know, beginning of time to the end of time, and that involves a lot of destruction too, you know, because planets are born and planets die. So like, seeing it from that lens is like, whoa. He actually asked Krishna to like bring him back and like, please show me your beautiful form, like this is like a lot, you know. Yeah, my grandfather actually was in the Vietnam War, and he really went through a tough time, and he earned tons of badges, including 2 Purple Hearts. Actually,
that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense battle, and he actually was one of 2 who survived one of the largest disasters in the Vietnam War.
Really?
In terms of history, yeah. And it was because of prayer that he survived, because he essentially went, and basically they like were sent, like the whole platoon was sent to go across this field to like face the opposing side, and they just got bombed. But what happened before then is my grandfather, he went into prayer mode, and like God basically pulled him out of his body like 24 feet, something like above the battlefield, and like showed him what was going to happen. So my grandfather actually like did like some maneuvers and ended up behind this log, and then all that shit happened, and like his friends were like getting blown up all around him. It was like terrible, like really terrible. Yeah,
a terrible war.
Yeah, he broke his back in 3 different places, and then the government actually put him on heroin for pain relief too.
Oh, wow.
So he had like a lot of trauma, a lot of pain to bring back to his family, you know. And this is some of the inner work that I've had to do: generational healing and inner conflict resolution. Also, like one-on-one healing with my father too, you know, because it carries through generationally. It's a heavy thing, you know. So
yeah, it's a very heavy, dark history. I think our country is still grappling with it. And it's like, that seems like the worst war that America ever fought in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
At least one of the most destructive, obviously, and one of the most unnecessary.
Yeah.
And one that we were lied to about, and one that started on false pretenses, and one that powerful forces in our government and politicians and industry were pushing us into that wasn't really necessary. It wasn't really protecting our country. It wasn't really...
Yeah.
Whatever goals we had weren't really justified by the amount of destruction and bombs and death. And I think it's this heavy. It's a heavy thing.
Yeah.
But we need to remember that, and like be skeptical of our politicians and be skeptical of the call of war. Mm-hmm. And then we also need to honor. I believe like there are times where force is needed. So.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it took me a while to read his books. He wrote a book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's about his journey through the war. And there was just a lot of leaders in the war over there that weren't well trained and didn't really know what they were doing. And then like people were replaced all the time, and like so they're just like sending kids to die. Like they just there was no, like, it wasn't a good military structure in general, you know. So it's just kind of like a sad story, but yeah, thankful for those who showed up in their authentic integrity to serve in the best way that they could, even though it was terrible all the way around. You know?
We learn our lessons up.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost feel like the need to just like say one little prayer just to like bless the souls of, you know, those beings that like went through that, and also for the other souls that are going through like these wars and conflict, you know, because it's just a lot, you know, it's just a lot. And it may be karma, it may be, you know, their soul's path, you know, but it's still heavy. So yeah, may those souls find peace, the ones that have left this realm, and and may those who are on the battlefield now, may they find peace in their heart, and may they recognize these other beings as their brothers and sisters as well. Yeah. Quick little
Thank you.
prayer for that. Yeah.
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 So part of your inspiration with your music project has been what you're talking about here, like you're wanting to share wisdom teachings, practices, prayers, in connection with divinity, with the world, with people.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like wanting to share these wisdom teachings, but also I feel like I'm coming into this more matured perspective of wanting to be a vehicle for the prayer, and many other artists' voices need to be heard, and I feel like I'm growing into like a vehicle for those other voices to be heard, and other tribes and other lineages as well. And I feel like because of my connection to my spiritual masters and teachers and stuff, there's like there's essentially like an approval for doing this work. You know, I like have a permission slip to do this. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like
is part of what you mean by that, like inviting other artists and to collaborate and be part of it?
yeah. So like for instance, recently I connected with an artist, Diana Carr, and we put together an amazing track, and it's a beautiful prayer song, you know, calling in the miracle, and you know, stepping into that river and being in the flow and trusting, having deep levels of faith, you know. And she's one of those beings that works, you know, in the spiritual community and the medicine community and stuff. So she's a song carrier, you know, she's a lineage holder, song carrier, and so that's what I mean, for example, like being a vehicle for those voices.
Beautiful.
You know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What other collaborations are you cooking up over there?
Yeah, so I hit the studio with 4 different artists. So first it was Diana Carr, and then I met up with Brent B. Lewis from Cloud People. So it's 2 twin brothers, Anthony, who produces as Home, and then Brent, who produces as B. Lewis. And then they have a joint project called Cloud People, which is super awesome. And then I met up with Daniel with the Balance, and then I met up with Carla Avatara, and then obviously intermittent jam sessions with other artists. Yeah, so some stuff is brewing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the musical world, like all the collaborations and connections and playing together.
Yeah, I'm feeling more of a sense of like bringing those like other artists to the live performance too. Like for instance, I was headlining a festival in Austin called Together Fest, which was a fundraiser for a friend of the community, and she got diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. So the community came together to raise funding for her to work through, you know, pay bills and help. And
amazing. And that just happened recently?
Yeah, this just happened. That was actually how I ended up in Austin, was that invitation, and then just ended up staying longer. I've been really in the collaborative spirit, and there was another artist who like walked up, and my friend Jason Burris, he's actually the designer of these amazing pieces here. He's like, oh, this is my friend Surreal, and he plays violin. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, do you want to play with me during my set? And then we like collaborated and created this amazing masterpiece, you know. And I'm loving the idea of just.
I think I saw a video with some of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think we did post a clip of that. So feeling the calling more to like wherever I'm traveling to connect with the local artists and bring them on board, you know, to further that definition of like being the vehicle, you know, for the song, for the prayer, for the journey.
Yeah, and I think we were talking before we started recording about this kind of conscious music. I don't know what words to call it, but ecstatic dance and the kind of music that you're creating and bringing people together. There really is and it can happen in all kinds of different concerts, but music and dance and movement really can synchronize people and open them up to profound healing experiences. It can be a transmission of like what more is possible. It can get us out of that small self, out of that ego that you're talking about, and then it can be a light in our life, and then we can remember that, know that, and come from that place more. I'm just thinking now. My mind is just thinking about war because we were talking about the Vietnam War and stuff.
It's like intense. I know, right?
I really do believe that we have to. Each one of us can help by broadening our perspective and understanding that other people, you know, everyone wants to be happy. It may sound like a cliche, but everyone is trying, on some level, trying to do the right thing. And I think we can end wars through that consciousness. And then at some points, there might be a need for physical force, and then we need to have leaders who are wise enough to know where those lines are, and we need to hold them accountable. And we all need to kind of be a part of that process, and I think we actually are moving in that way, as messed up as the world seems. we're so much more connected now. There's so much information being shared.
Mm.
We're all participating more and more in the conversation. I think that's actually a good thing.
I think it's a good thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially everyone is searching for love.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what everyone wants,
Yeah.
and it's usually when that love gets stripped away or there's some conflict around that love is when we get frustrated and then we begin to bicker and then that leads to war.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of dark forces and ignorance in the world, and there are groups of people that, like if there was we have all these like mass shootings, like we probably need to use force to stop that person. There's a lot of examples like that. But at the same time, it's like, if you look at crime rates and everything, they've actually been going down in this country for a long time.
That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know that. Like,
Yeah.
we're actually in a really peaceful, prosperous time, historically speaking. Especially in this country. And then, so.
That's beautiful. I feel that too. Like, I feel like the world is evolving.
You feel that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do feel the world is evolving, and I feel like every time, two people sit together and have these conversations and share and or sing together or come into harmony, like we're just emanating that out, that energy. It's like,
I think the world is evolving. I think it can evolve. I think we all have the potential to grow, transform, heal, liberate. We can do it collectively, and like if we see that and know that, that's part of what helps make it happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, knowing.
Knowing it, yeah. Like you could have that thought, and then you could try to enact it, and then all of a sudden you're creating that.
Yeah.
And it's happening right now.
Yeah. It may even seem selfish, but I try to be in the present as much as possible, like being in the present moment. And when I'm in the present moment, I see beauty around me everywhere. Like everywhere I go, like going to Tulum, even going, which, there's like police forces and like cars everywhere driving with like big guns and shit around. It's like, whoa, okay, this is like interesting. But still, if I'm in the presence, it's beautiful. And I feel like being in the presence is like confirming with the self on so many deep levels, So when we practice presence, we're practicing that level of like deeper faith in a better world.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can be in that presence, see the beauty, and then you're helping the world. You're helping yourself and others by seeing that beauty. You're making it more real. In a sense, you're manifesting it. Yeah. It's already there, but we need to see it. And that's a good example. Tulum, such a beautiful place, and then guys with machine guns and pickup trucks going by.
It's
Is that because of the cartels? They're trying to protect everyone? Or?
I don't know exactly the details around that, but I'm sure that's
part of it.
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, they like literally have like military that like escort like the trucks of gasoline because I think they're worried about them disappearing. Like semi trucks of gasoline. Wow. It's like, okay.
Yeah, Mexico's wild.
Yeah.
So I was in Tulum a few years ago, and I've heard this happened to me, and I've heard multiple other people share a similar story. Driving down the little shitty road, and then we got pulled over, and it was basically it was literally just a shakedown.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, you can't have this many people in the car. You can't play your music that loud. You're driving a little too fast. And we're like, basically, the end of the story is give us money and we'll go away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Mexico's wild.
Yeah, and
Tulum is wild because it was like 20 years ago. It was like a piece of jungle, so it's kind of. I think a lot of people have mixed feelings about all the development, but it's such a beautiful place, and it's just like. It might have changed, but when I was there, like all the hotels were like running out these big generators. So you go out on the street behind the hotels, and it would be super loud and polluted. And then you go to the beach in front of it, it's like so pristine and beautiful. It was this like amazing juxtaposition.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting and also kind of difficult, like the internal, like for me, like when I went to Bali, for instance, there were so many places in Bali that were so beautiful. And then like some of the bigger cities, like outskirts of like Denpasar, were just like covered in garbage. And people burning garbage too.
Yeah.
And it's like...
I've seen that all around the world wherever I've traveled in a so-called third world country is like people burning garbage or sometimes they're making little fires to stay warm, but sometimes it's like their way of getting rid of their garbage, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel we do have it just seems like there's a tremendous amount of like fairly doable small things that could help our world's ecosystems and
Mm.
environment a lot, and that would
Hmm.
be one of them. Like, in fact, I saw this thing where like someone developed these little furnaces, and they're giving them to villagers in India and I think in Africa,
Mm.
and it's like a clean burning source of heat,
Mm.
so
That's
they can
beautiful.
stop burning like wood and all this garbage and stuff.
Mm.
So
I love that.
yeah, it's really sad to think about how much technology and money and wealth we have, and like if we could fix a lot of these problems like pretty easily, probably.
Mm.
Like talking about wars, like if we took like I don't know, I imagine if you took 1% of our Pentagon budget, you could probably like give everyone in India a clean burning car and like clean up all the air pollution.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very like intricate, right? It's delicate and intricate and like so many variables involved. And I feel like it really just comes back down to like what are we gonna do right now? Like with
Mm,
our skills, in this room. It's like what do we got? Like if we can talk about it, that's amazing first step.
yeah.
Today it was like I was like, what can I do today? And it was like I'm at a picnic spot on the side of the road, on my way here, and it was like seeing all the trash collected on the fence, and there's this
Oh yeah, you were
beautiful
telling me
tree
about that.
there, and the tree said, "I love you."
So you were
So,
camping, you woke up, you saw the trash.
yeah, yeah. I woke up and I mean, I wasn't focused on the trash. When I woke up, I was like, I'm gonna wash my face, I'm gonna brush my teeth, I'm gonna play some flute, and then right before I left, I was like, fuck, like I don't want to fucking leave this like a mess. Like, it's not my trash at all, but I was like, maybe there's something I can do. Like maybe if I fill up two of these trash bags that are literally caught on the branches of these bushes, maybe I'll create like an energy signature of like cleanliness or like change that
Yeah, yeah.
vibration of that place a little bit. So I filled up the two bags and threw them away, and it looked better. Like you could feel the energy of the place. It's like maybe someone will pull up and not continue throwing their trash out. Um, so it's like one thing. It's tiny, small thing. Probably doesn't make much of a difference in the grand scheme, or maybe it does.
Hmm, yeah.
Because we're a collective. So every action, I actually do believe. I mean, I say like I don't know, but actually I do know. I do know that that one small thing that I did actually, you know, it's like powerful. And there's a couple people that seen that
Hmm.
action,
Hmm.
that were there, present. So maybe they will carry that with them and think about it,
Yeah.
and maybe it makes an impact and like later. And I actually was very inspired by that action. And I called my friend. I was like, dude, do you know what we should do? We should throw parties, like renegade parties, in trashed out spots, and we should clean them up, and we should
Yes.
leave an altar
Yeah, so
there
cool.
out of like the nature, like build these altars and like sanctify the place and like do our prayers and like call in the divine energy and lock it into those spots, because
Yeah,
like
I
what
like
else,
that.
like,
Well, imagine someone listening to this, and then like the next day or a week or even a month later, it's like that seed has been planted,
hmm,
and maybe you just try something different, like just try cleaning up a space or try doing something like that and see how
mm-hmm,
it feels. I was
yeah,
listening to this coach give this like free online class a few days ago, and he's like now running like a seven-figure business, like teaching and doing these events.
mm-hmm,
And he said when he was first starting out coaching, he was driving out of like a Starbucks drive-through, and there was this woman blocking the way, and cars were honking and swerving around her. And he also had like a coaching call in like half an hour, and he was like busy and had a lot going on.
mm-hmm,
But he stopped and talked to her, and she was like super distraught, super upset. She didn't speak English well. Her car had broken down, and she didn't know what to do.
mm-hmm,
And he decided to stay there with her, talk to her, try to help calm her down,
mm-hmm,
call AAA for her.
mm-hmm.
He said she was so distraught she didn't even remember her own phone number because she was
Oh,
like traveling and had like a travel phone,
oh, how
and
stressful.
so yeah.
Jeez, just totally
And
overwhelmed.
so he gave up his he was like late to his coaching thing, but he helped her get her car fixed and get on the way
Mm,
and calm down, and he said he felt amazing after that. And I was like, it really made me think about like, because I've been getting, like I was saying earlier, like getting caught up and stuff, trying to do a
mm,
lot. we have this idea that like to get ahead, to be successful, work hard, go, and it's a lot of it's like me. And if there is God, if there is a divine force moving through us, maybe we open to that. Maybe that's actually the better path forward.
Yeah, and it feels like in that position, she was the connecting point for that energy to flow, and it was like almost like the universe is like trying to align that current.
Yeah.
And like people just passing by and it was him that like connected and made that happen and may have changed her life actually. Those moments actually can change someone's life when
Well, it changed his life.
it changed his life.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. It actually reminds me of this short story. Basically, I was at an event that Aubrey Marcus is putting on called Arcadia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in Las Vegas, Conscious Festival in Las Vegas at Area 15. It was interesting. It was like, trying to do a conscious event, but like maybe not knowing how to put all the parts together.
And you're in Las Vegas too. So
and it's in Las Vegas.
Concrete like, jungle.
Dense energy. Yeah. Actually, like, never eaten meat my whole life. Like, strict about it. In the green room, they had like these mashed potatoes, and the chef, it was like this gourmet thing. They brought this like big pig on the table. It was like a whole pig, and I was like, okay, is there anything I can eat? She's like, oh, have these mashed potatoes. And I was like, no meat at all, right? And she's like, no. Like, I'm the chef, and there was fucking pork in it, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no. I was like, come on. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go take some space. I'm actually gonna leave now. Like, I'm just like, I'm complete. I feel complete with my role here. And
they got you with the potatoes.
They got me with the fucking potatoes with the pork in it, man. And I was like, damn it. And then I was like on my way out to my van, and there was a woman in the parking lot, and she was like, she had her hood up, and I had just gotten done with like dealing with car trouble, so I was like, how you doing? Like, you good? You got everything under control? And she was like, yeah, I think so. I think they may have needed some coolant or something. I think I might have helped them or not, but I was there for them and showed up and was like, do you need something? And we became friends. And I gave her a gift. I gave her my CD, my album.
Nice.
And she vibed with it. And then I ran into her at Unison, and I ran into her partner. Her name's Britannia, and her partner is Rob Speed. And they vibed to my set there at Unison, and then they actually contacted me about playing their festival that they put on, right? So it's like this whole like
there's
synergy there, and they invited me to come co-headline that festival with Orenda. That festival is called Paradigm Gathering, and that will be May 16th weekend. Yeah, here in Colorado, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, on the like an hour from Moab, so it's on the other side of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, so I was gonna invite you to share any announcements you have upcoming stuff. So that's one of them.
Yeah. So the full Spectrum tour, the spring tour, is starting in Salt Lake City. So that'll be an ecstatic dance. Pretty much all of the events are ecstatic dance. So it starts in Salt Lake City, and that will be at the Krishna Temple there. And then the next one will be in Nevada City. So Salt Lake City, April 4th. Nevada City, April 8th. Davis, April 10th. Santa Cruz, April 11th. Oakland, April 16th at Sweets Ballroom, which is like one of the bigger ecstatic dances in the country.
Is that the Oakland ecstatic dance?
Yeah. So I'm stoked to connect with that energy.
I think that is maybe one of, if not the oldest dance, maybe outside of Hawaii.
Yeah, I think outside of Hawaii it is. Yeah. So it's an honor. Super thankful to Tyler Blink and everyone involved in that scene for being open to having me. Yeah. So that's on April 16th, and then I'm doing San Diego April 18th, and then I'm flying to Austin, Texas, returning to the portal for 4/20, which is Easter.
Oh, in Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot, man.
Yeah. So I'm doing an event with the Human Experience, David Block.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so I'm doing an ecstatic dance, and I've created some invitation to some other artists to join me as well, so there may be live violin and some drums. We'll see if it all aligns. That will be really nice. It'll be a full
April 20th.
spectrum experience. Yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah, yep. And then May 16th through the 18th is Paradigm Gathering here in Colorado, and then the next confirmed show is High Vibe Fest, which is going to be amazing again. Highly recommend to check that one out. And I will be doing a kirtan experience workshop.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's my offering this year for that festival, and that's pretty much the tour. I've gotten some invitations to go to Hawaii and play at a farm there. So we might be doing like a Hawaii tour a little later in the year. So
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Thanks. Takes a lot of planning, a lot of nootropics, a lot of meditation. Yeah, lots of planning.
A lot of dedication.
Dedication. I mean, it's like, yeah, we were talking about like kind of like sacrificing or just like deep faith, and my connection is to like sacrifice and like what we have to do on the artist journey. Like I remember when I like left my ex-girlfriend. I was living in Oakland at the time. I left my ex-girlfriend and packed everything into my van and like traveled with as a servant to these devotees of Krishna, and somehow ended up at my first ecstatic dance, ended up playing. I actually ended up headlining the ecstatic dance, the electronic portion of this Trevor Hall show, which was huge for me.
That's
you know,
big, yeah.
Yeah. So it was the first time opening my set with like a prayer, because I finally felt like the space is open to this. You know, it's not a bar, it's not a club. It's like I can actually call in some energy here and share that. You know, but yeah, literally like didn't know how I was going to get money, didn't have any of these shows planned out, but ended up on a full tour while being of service too, you know, and that's probably its own podcast in itself, just that journey of, you know, selflessness. And
Wait, so the first show you played was the Trevor Hall show?
it wasn't the first show. The first show I played on that run of events. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was Trevor Hall. It's the first time I heard of Trevor Hall. I was like sitting in front of him, and he's like,
he actually lives near Boulder now.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's what I heard.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, beautiful artist. Well, you really seem like someone who's in the flow, finding these synchronicities, finding these connections.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness.
Following the pulse.
Yeah.
You know, where is the pulse? And yeah, trying to listen at the same time, you know, having faith and trust. And there's been many times where I've like ended up in a new town and on the artist journey, and you know, I'm like, okay, I got like $50 to my name. It's like, how is this going to work? And it's like all these things line up because I'm like trusting and just keep going forward in the path, you know. And I feel grateful to be in a place now where like I'm being flown from place to play shows and be paid and just continue doing it. And at this moment, like I don't have like desire to like accumulate stuff, or like, you know, I want eventually to have like a home-based studio of my own so I can start sharing this like knowledge of production and intention and how to like manifest your dreams, essentially, that deep level of trust. But right now it's just reinvesting into the experience. So I'm seeing a huge opportunity in like bringing live violinists into the field, bringing live percussion into the field, singers, like really like engaging the community, like as this thing grows, you know, really embracing the movement side of it, you know, rather than making it about like the self and accumulating wealth and trying to like stockpile, you know, my little bag. It's like, you know, it's just keep paying it forward, keep increasing the experience, make it more and more beautiful, and people will get more out of it. So if people are getting more out of it, then I feel more complete because I'm being more of service. And I know that there's this reciprocation in general, like energetically, it's like karma yoga in a way, you know? And I really do deeply like offer my work to God, you know, I really do. And I think that in that prayer, there's there's blessings, that come with that. And I feel like the
Absolutely.
true
Yeah.
wealth is the blessing. We don't
Yeah.
accumulate. Well, we accumulate money, sure, and coins and all this stuff, but like we don't get to take that with us. But what we do get to take with us is blessings. We get to take that with us, and that increases our love for God. That amplifies what we're doing. So much more. So yeah.
That's beautiful. It's a great message to share.
Yeah. I'm thankful for my teachers, who teach these things, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, who are truly selfless, truly without ego, and give so much clear direction through the teachings and the divine lineage that it's eternal, really. And I feel like that's what really is the true wind in my sails and the true support. It's like this beautiful wingspan that has expanded out, and I'm able to kind of just ride that, through this life. And as long as I'm in integrity, authenticity, and showing up to do the work, the miracles just keep presenting themselves. And that's what this new song with Diana Carr is all about. It's about showing up for the miracle, getting out of our own way, and trusting, just trusting.
I love that.
And dancing. And having fun, and like loving life, and singing together, and honoring our teachers, really honoring our teachers, not being afraid of the word guru, not being afraid of the teacher, because someone had to teach you how to wipe your ass.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't just like start wiping our asses on our own. Like, not to be so blunt, but it's like, it's true, and you can cut that part out if you want, but I'll say it again, it's like someone had to teach us how to play piano.
Yeah.
And someone taught them how to play piano, and this knowledge comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
It originates from somewhere.
It's the human journey that's all being passed down, built on.
Yeah. And in this lineage too, it's this specific mantra to our Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Swami, is Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Iti Namine. And the second part is Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Sunyavati Pachitate Satarine. I think I butchered the last part of it. But essentially,
it's a long mantra.
Yeah, essentially what it is understanding that the Shakti current of creativity is flowing from Sarasvati. And the knowledge is flowing from Sarasvati through our lineage of teachers. So we know in this lineage that this knowledge has its origins, and this origins is Krishna. So it's very important to honor the teachers, just like we would honor our mother and father. Just like we would honor, the Yawanawa. Honor that lineage, honor those teachers, honor those songs. Just like we would honor the Balinese mantras that we receive from the Balinese, or, the Shipibo, or, the Native Americans. It's like those songs are given. Therefore, we honor our teachers. It's so important, and we can't lose that. And it's important to remember too that 7 generations down the road, when they're singing by the fire, they're going to be calling on their ancestors, and those ancestors are us. That's us that they're calling on. So what songs are we making now that they can call on, and where is that connection point? So let's not lose that connection point. Let's honor our teachers so we keep that connection strong. Let's honor our gurus so we can keep that connection strong. So important.
Love that. Yeah, it's a way to. It's true too. It's everything you just said. It's based on what's real. Like, we all are taught. We all depend on caregivers when we're young, and society, and family, and our ancestors, and then we carry that forward. And yeah, I think we really need to remember that.
It's so important.
It's a way to have that humility, and then also that call to adventure, that call to do your part, that call to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And really, like, if there was one message that I could broadcast more than anything, it's one foot in front of the other. Just show up. Like you said, just show up. Because if you just show up, the rest, like, is history. You know, as I said before, the future is an expectation. So all you can do now in the present is show up, you know, and the divine current will flow, you know, especially if we call it in.
Yes, love that. Well, good. Well, it's great to have you on the podcast. Thanks for being on here. This is a good place to close.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, an honor.